Welcome to the Seat 14 podcast, a different perspective on college basketball told by those who lived it. Join us as we bring you insider views, analysis, breakdowns, and predictions from one of the most storied programs in the country, from someone who saw it all from the end of the bench, the 14th seat. In association with the Field of 68 and alongside producer Jordan Barber, I'm your host, Todd Lanter, and this is Seat 14. Welcome into episode 7 of the Seat 14 podcast presented by the Field of 68 and powered by Bet Rivers Sportsbook and Budweiser King of Beers. Today is Thursday, December 30th. We are this close to 2022. I can't believe 2021's gone. I can't believe 2020's over. Time hasn't been real since COVID existed. It's just got me all. Huh?
Not at all. Nothing's
it's just
felt real for a while now.
I'm just all the time. But anyway,
coming off high on cough syrup right now.
That's true. I apologize for my raspy voice. If you want to just mute the rest of this episode, just listen to Jordan. That's fine by me. I apologize for the raspiness.
If I had it my way, that would be every episode, by the way.
I'm aware. I got my hot tea here. I got my cough drops. I got my cough medicine. It's not COVID though, thank God. But it's just my yearly cold. Happens every time the weather starts to change. And we live in a state here in Kentucky where it's 70 one day and then 20 the next day. Sometimes it can be 70 and 20 in the same day. So, a very interesting thing to have to deal with during a worldwide pandemic, but thankfully not.
We're not telling Kentuckians anything they don't already know, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So we're coming off another win, another big win. We started SEC play last night in Rupp Arena, where we hosted Missouri. It's a little weird this year though, because we got the one SEC game with Missouri, and then tomorrow, Friday, we're plugging in the High Point game, welcoming Tubby Smith back to town to retire jersey. That's going to be a very cool thing. That's a coach that I grew up. That's about the time that I started to really get into basketball, was when Tubby was here. Have a lot of respect for him and what he was able to do here. So I'm really excited to see him tomorrow.
Tubby was well before my time. I honestly have no memory of any of his teams. I mean, I was born in '99.
True.
So.
That's true. You're a youngster. His teams were the time when I started to kind of turn the corner and was big into basketball and soaking it all up. So he's the first coach I
Weird timing on the Tubby High Point game. I wouldn't expect him to just throw it right in the middle of SEC play. I would have expected that to be like near the start of the season.
I mean, normally SEC play starts after the first of the year, so I guess we just needed to squeeze another game in between Christmas and New Year's. So
I guess these are unprecedented times for scheduling games.
We got to figure out how we're going to get. I don't think we'll make up the Ohio State game. But we're hopefully gonna make up the Louisville game.
You better make that up. That would just feel wrong.
We'll get it in there. We'll make it work. But we're probably not done with cancellations. There's probably going to be several other games this year that get canceled. So we might be able to stick.
Did you and anyone that doesn't know that Cal came out and said, I don't know if any other program's doing it. I think Kentucky is one of the few who are doing it this way, but basically they're only testing symptomatic players. I
believe the NCAA announced that they were going to allow that to be the case, and Kentucky jumped right on it because everybody's vaccinated and boosted. They decided to go ahead and echo that sentiment, and that's how they're going to approach it. Really, it's a weird time because now the NCAA has decided not to hold forfeited games against teams that have to take or hold. They're not categorizing a forfeited game as a loss if it was due to COVID issues or protocols, which is great. Obviously, you don't want that to be held against you, but now we're going to have what we didn't want is we didn't want somebody to be have the sniffles and them not test them because they don't want them to be COVID positive, and then they end up having to forfeit the game, and so you have people kind of burying the risk of illness so that they don't have to take a loss. So obviously this alleviates some of that issue, but you also have the CDC that changed the guidelines that said you now only have to be non-symptomatic for 5 days before you can come out of quarantine, and then if you even if you've tested negative or something, you're supposed to still wear a mask for an additional 5 days. I'm going to tell you something right now. We are not going to have basketball teams following the rule of players wearing a mask 5 days after being cleared on the court in a basketball game. It's just not going to happen. So hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, hopefully we don't get into the weeds and have any issues with that or any further outbreaks. But again, it's unprecedented. The NCAA is doing their best. Each individual school is doing their best. The conferences are doing their best. I just hope that we're able to continue to push forward this season, and everybody stays healthy, and we have postseason as well.
Our bosses, Rob and Jeff, have been very critical of NCAA President Mark Emmert on Twitter. I don't know. It'd be interesting to talk to them about it, like exactly what they feel. But from what I can gather from their standpoint, there's been a lack of leadership, if anything.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that they've done the most they can do or handled it properly, but I'm saying we're at least doing something. Yeah. But I don't have a medical degree. You don't have a medical degree. I'm not going to sit here and talk about what I think is the right thing to do and how to handle this, because I realize how ignorant I sound trying to pretend like I know. So I just imagine that they're doing their due diligence and doing what they can to make sure that everybody's healthy and that we're able to have a basketball season. Because I promise you one thing, they don't want to cancel the postseason either. They don't want games missed. It's not good for the brand. Obviously, it's not good we had to pull the plug on the SEC tournament 2 years ago, and obviously it affected everything. So I want to have a madness. I want to have an SEC tournament. I want a reason to go down to Tampa in March. So I hope everybody does their part to stay healthy. So what are we going to get into today?
We got the boy D. Will, Bullitt County represent.
That's right. D. Will's over in Spain. We're keeping him up late once again. That's the one tough thing about doing these podcasts the way we're having to do it. Normally we want to release this on Thursday mornings. Last night, Kentucky played late on Wednesday night, so we obviously don't have time to record and edit and release it in time to be as effective as we want and not keep you up all night doing your part and helping with the editing and all that. But also, we can't get a guest if they're over in Europe. We can't have the guys come on when it's not conducive to their schedule as well. So he's staying up late to hop on with us tonight. So we can get this episode out prior to the High Point game on Friday, and then we'll have multiple games to talk about next week when we're back in person after you're done traveling for the holidays. And we're back in our new studio next week, which is going to be a lot of fun. We got a couple new additions to the way we're going to do things here so we can help put out better content. And again, this is a learning curve for me. I've never done anything podcast related, neither of you. So we're trying to have fun with it and learn and figure things out. We're only 7 episodes in, if I can speak correctly. So we're going to have
real fun, baby.
Do what?
It's about to get real fun.
It's about to get real fun. We got the cameras, we got the set, we got the lights and the mics and all the jazz, and then we can hopefully present the content in a much cooler way for everybody that wants to watch or listen or whatever. So thank you for the support. 7 episodes in here. We're just trying to figure this out one day at a time, man. Gonna be a lot of fun though.
Couldn't do it without you guys. Couldn't do it without you either, buddy. Good job, Todd.
Appreciate that. Even though I'm half valuable today with my sore throat, but I got my hot tea. I'm good. That's all I need.
I hate tea.
I got my hot tea, and I guess what else I got? Budweiser.
Hey, shout out. No free shout outs.
All right, we're going to take our first break, and we will come back with Derek Willis, and then you and I are going to dive into kind of where the Cats stand statistically and what we can expect moving into SEC play. So we're going to hear from Bet Rivers, and we will be right back. You're listening to C14.
Let me take a second to tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart, though, is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to Seat 14. Joining us now, Kentucky's own Kentucky boy, played with me a couple years at UK before continuing his professional career over in Spain. Derek Willis. Derek, man, thanks for taking the time. Welcome into Seat 14. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, bud. I hope you had a good Christmas. I know you've got a lot of travel, and he was back. We tried to get him in person when he was in Lexington to come catch the Cats game. I think he was here to see the North Florida game, and we just couldn't get the schedule right. So we're going to do this one on Zoom. When he comes back in the offseason, we'll have him in person. But it was great to see you, man. Good to see you're doing well, and the whole family and everybody. Very, very cool. What you've been doing overseas. Spain is a fun place to play, I have to imagine, man. How are you liking it over there?
I mean, it's great. It's competitive, and every night's it's a war. So right now we're going through the whole COVID thing with the league. Every team's having to cancel, reschedule things. So just kind of weathering the storm with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's something we're dealing with all over the world right now. Kentucky's had, I know you can't follow it as closely as you'd like to, being on a different time zone and everything, but Kentucky's had two games, the last two games before the Missouri game where we just kicked off the conference season last night. But the last two games against North Carolina and Western Kentucky were supposed to be against Ohio State and Louisville. Both of those two games got canceled because of COVID in those programs. So we were able to get the Tar Heels and the Hilltoppers to step in and take on those games for us. So we're hoping that the Cats can get those games rescheduled. Obviously, you know how the rivalry runs deep between Louisville and Kentucky. So we're hoping we can get that game back on the books. But it's going to be interesting because it's this is something that nobody's had to deal with until no one knows how to handle this. It's something that's worldwide. So everybody's doing their part to try to figure it out. But yeah, it's you were telling us off air how overseas is handling it in different parts of Europe. So at least you're a little bit more under control there in Spain. And where was it you said they'll just stop you and ask you for a vaccine card?
I know it was in Austria and Germany. I think they've kind of had similar laws and similar mandates as far as entering places with the your vaccination card, or over here they have a QR code, so they just scan you in. It has all your information. But for right now, Spain's kind of telling you go home at earlier times, and you still enter a restaurant, you show your COVID card, and that's really been about it.
Yeah, we've had some pretty lax rules in the States as far as that goes. They're not going around checking like that, but maybe they should be. Obviously, we're in another surge, but I don't have a medical degree. You don't have a medical degree, so I'm not going to pretend to know the answers. I'm just glad everybody's trying to do their part to stay safe. I know you've got some teammates struggling with illness right now, so prayers out for them and their families. Hope everybody stays safe. So anyway, have you all had any games canceled?
Yeah, so we had a big game against Real Madrid, which is a EuroLeague team over here. Really good team in Europe, one of the best. And we had to reschedule. Their team got COVID, and then now it's our team has COVID. So we can't really figure out a date. So yep. And then I think this game this weekend now will probably get canceled as well, because we've had we had a couple new COVID cases come up. So it kind of is what it is.
It's tough to try to work around, but again, everybody's dealing with it, and hopefully we'll get it fixed and get it behind us. It's just it's unprecedented. It's tough. So Jordan, I know you want to jump in here. You've been waiting to talk to Derek for a while. We got to have Derek on the ESPN post game show for that game when he was in town for, again, I think it was North Florida, and we've been trying to get him on here so Jordan can talk to you about his theories on the whole Kentucky boy thing. We got Dante Allen on this team that kind of stepped in and earned some minutes on last year's squad. He's been struggling to find how he fits in with this roster. And I know Jordan wanted to dive in a little bit on that. You want to take it away?
Yeah. So I'd say recently, in the past 6-7 years, Derek, it's probably you, Dante, and D-Hawk, Dominique Hawkins, who are, Kentucky boys who actually were capable of coming in and getting some serious run, actually getting some minutes.
Was that a shot?
Was that a shot at you?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Come on, man. I wouldn't come at you like that. I have no history of taking shots at you on this show.
We're good enough to actually play. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but Derek, I just want to know, you've been through that ringer. You you played your years where you weren't really getting much clock, and then you became an integral part of the rotation. So I'm just curious from your point of view, what's the key to getting, on Cal's good side and really getting on the court?
So like I think in like the instance like where I messed up my first couple of years where I wasn't getting really any playing time, I'd get basically like you're up 30, you get in at the end of the game, that type of thing. To where I had a more significant role was I had an opportunity junior year and just took it. I mean, my first 2 years, I think I kind of had like a bad mindset in the sense of like I didn't know if I belonged at Kentucky, where I was coming from being, the best player, one of the best players in the state of Kentucky as a high school student, and then you go to Kentucky, you're there with the best players in the nation, and I didn't know if I could do it. So I think in that sense, I didn't have the confidence to really have a role my freshman year, and then sophomore year we loaded up even more, and it just was kind of it kind of weighed on me, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. So I didn't spend as much time in the gym as I probably should have, and I didn't really work on the things I think I needed to work on to even give me that opportunity and have like the coaches put me out there in those situations. But when junior year came around, I was like, it might as well be now or never. And I had opportunity and took it, and then it was all uphill from there.
That's a phenomenal answer, because that's spot on. You could see that change in your mindset as well. Those first couple of years, you're making the adjustment from being a high school player. Like you said, you didn't have to sit in the stands for 30 seconds. You didn't have to, you could take plays off and you were fine because you were that much more athletically gifted and talented than your competition. And then you get to a school like this where you got to earn your time day in and day out and put that extra work in. And, when he flipped that mindset, man, it was unbelievable to watch, because he was coming in at night, getting shots up, implementing new moves and just kind of approaching the game in a much different, more respectable way. Like you earned your respect for the game. And I think that's where your career really took off. And it was very noticeable in the way that you were performing, in the way that you uplifted your teammates, the way that you were an extension of the coaching staff on the floor, which I like to say a lot because we have such turnover here at Kentucky that a lot of people don't really know how they want to be or how to be coached by Cal. He just has a different, unique way of doing things. And now that you'd been here a couple of years, coming into your junior year, when you were called on to step up and play that role, you knew how to do that, how to coach those other guys, your teammates, and step in and do what Cal needed. And it was great to watch, because it just, we knew you had it the whole time, and we saw it in practice every day. But the fan base and the competition didn't necessarily know what you were capable of until you went out there and showed them. And it propelled you into one hell of a professional career. So congratulations. And seriously, your change in mindset was really, really cool to see, man.
Yeah, speaking of the fan base, Derek, we know the fans are hard here. They're one of the most active fan bases on social media. We've seen with Dante, it's kind of the inverse. It's almost like they support him unconditionally. Like there's nothing that he could do wrong. I want to know, in your opinion, like, did you experience that where the fans were putting like an inverse sense of pressure on you? It wasn't like you couldn't make a mistake, or it wasn't like you could get away with anything, but being from Kentucky and having that blue blood, they want to see you succeed. Do you think that creates a totally different layer of pressure on the kid?
I think so, because you already have that sense of pride going to Kentucky as a Kentucky kid, and you want to play and do good while you're there. So yeah, I definitely felt pressure for sure when my time was there, and you playing a big team and you don't perform or hold up to standards, and then you go on Twitter. Like every guy goes on Twitter after the games or Instagram, and they just you had a good game, it's your God. If you didn't, then you feel like the most worthless person in the world. And so it's like, it's just the good and bad. But I think for me, more than not, like a lot of my like feedback was good. Definitely had the nights where it wasn't, but I just kind of ran with that. And whenever I play, I try to have like a little bit more sense of pride on being out in Rupp Arena.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because today's athlete, and when I say today, I mean like in this decade, excuse me, I am dealing with a throat issue, hence the hot tea right now. Not COVID though, thank God. So the biggest thing I think that people don't really realize is how much that social media stuff affects kids these days. I mean, you're still 18, 19, 20 years old, and the common, armchair quarterback that doesn't even have to put their name or photo on their profile page can have direct access to you to run their mouth about why they think that you're X, Y, or Z, and give their thoughts on that. And it can be heavy. I mean, we had a couple of teammates at UK that I know you'll recall where, things were said that it's completely unfair criticism, and, people just treating kids wrongly because they can, and they don't have to take responsibility for it. And it's a whole nother added aspect that, the generation before us didn't have to deal with. But you're so accessible nowadays because of the online presence and things. So it becomes heavy to deal with. If you're, guys, you want to go on there and see it when you're doing well, because you want the praise and the, build yourself up and, feel good about your performance. But there's the negative side that comes with that as well. So, one of Cal's lessons and that he preached to us pretty often was, stay even keel. We don't want the highs to be too high or the lows to be too low, because you got to come out the next day and perform, regardless of what you did last night. And I heard Giannis Antetokounmpo do a interview during the finals this past year, where he made reference to that. It's a really cool video. I'll put the link in the show notes so everybody can check it out. But that mindset of just kind of staying even keel, like what you did yesterday doesn't matter, for good, bad, or indifferent. And you have to have that right mindset going into the practice facility and approaching that next game. But with that said, I say all that to say this. Guys that are coming off the bench, especially in your first couple of years, your leash is much, much shorter than some of those starters is, right? And Cal has this way of coaching where he wants you to do 2 or 3 things really well. And if you can do those 2 or 3 things really well, you can earn your time on the floor. You're going to contribute to the team in the best positive way to give us the best chance of winning. And that's what he wants to see out of you. But with that shorter leash, a guy that's as talented as yourself and can score at all 3 levels and is capable of doing all these things, you're kind of confined to that smaller role in your first couple of years until you can prove that you're able to expand your game and be an asset in those other areas. So that's another thing that, I knew what Derek was capable of because I saw him do it every day in practice, but the fan base and the coaching staff want him to be good at what that team needs him to be good at when he's on the floor. And that can translate into, a very short leash if you come out there and can't get into the flow of the game pretty quick. So that is a lot of pressure that I witnessed, seeing guys deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it goes on across the country. That's not something that's unique to the University of Kentucky. It's every player across the country that deals with that and trying to kind of find their niche, to find their role. What is it that they do well enough to earn those minutes? And obviously, as your career, as you continue to work and put in the time, those things that make you who you are as a basketball player start to come out and you show through. And obviously that's what happened with you. And, again, you've developed a game that not only worked for you in college, but has elevated you in a professional career that's, you're able to play the way that you're comfortable playing, which is much different than it looked 5 or 6 years ago. And especially with the new European rules. So that just, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but a lot of that goes into your approach to the game and how you have to deal with those things as they come. It's a lot of respect to the way that you've handled it.
Derek, I'm curious, what did you, in either you were told by, a scout or an analyst of some sort, or you just kind of realized yourself, what did you have to work on to make that transition from college to professional? Like, what did you notice about yourself that you had to change to start making a living at the next level?
So for me, I think scratching the G League year, because I don't the G League is just it's the G League, but that's not to hate on or anything. I think it's been a great opportunity for guys this year, and it was a great opportunity for me when I was there. But for Europe, where I feel like my market value is really good right now, is that like everything I learned from Kentucky has translated perfect over there, because most teams are like, it's the same. Like just do like 3 or 4 things of like great, and like you're gonna make as much money as you want over here. And that, in a very simple standpoint, is basically like, for somebody like for me playing the 4, okay, from be a 50, 40, 90 guy. You can do that, you'll make a lot of money. And if you can defend and rebound, you can get like 4 or 5 rebounds a game, and not turn the ball over, and not let your guy have like a 20 ball in your head every night, then you'd be great over here. So I think in that sense too, it's also helped me change my game as well, from like being in like college. Okay, Coach Cal's telling me, all right, you're going to shoot threes. You're going to have 1 dribble pull-ups, and that's pretty much it as far as your offensive game goes. And at the time I was like, it sounded crazy to me, but it kind of makes sense, like leaving college too. I didn't really get it till later down the road, but I think that was ultimately just to help me. But now it's like, okay, in Europe now, teams, they do their research on you. I think they're even more detailed in Europe. And okay, Derek's a pick and pop guy. Okay, well, we're just going to switch with him. Okay, now what's he going to do? All right, so now I have to have a post game now. So now I play inside more. I do out on the 3-point line now.
I know this.
And so it's just like every year I've been trying to add something in that sense. Okay, Derek did this. He was doing this really good this year. Okay, this season now he's, we can't let him go out and transition. You got to add something over here. You got to keep expanding your game, or you ain't gonna have a job at the end.
Absolutely.
Of the day.
Well, obviously you've done a great job at doing that, and you're a scoring threat at pretty much everywhere on the floor. So what is it, because you brought it up, I want to go with that for a second. What is it that you see the most defensively? Are they switching on you 1 through 5? I mean, are they usually switching off of ball screens? Are they trying to get you to play with your back to the basket? What are they trying to force you into?
Yeah. So like the coverage over here in Europe is basically like they'll hedge straight out. Like for going into the game, like they won't play me as like a flat guy. Like they they'll show flat. They don't. Because you'll just get killed.
Yeah.
Or they'll just switch. But yeah, basically that's just the coverage. Either they got a show on you, or they switch, and then either the guard's gonna take his advantage with the big, or they're just gonna kick it into you inside. And like the thing about over here in Europe is that the big can just be in the paint the whole game. So, you're not gonna hardly ever play a one-on-one switch in the post. Like you're gonna spin into somebody, you're gonna spin into other big guys. So you gotta just really figure out how to utilize the space and, get to what you want to get to.
So you're saying because there's no defensive 3 seconds, they'll just park the weak side help right in the center of the paint, and you're gonna put yourself in a double team situation if you go middle. Is that what you're saying?
So basically, like if they switch with you, okay, I roll into the post, they kick it into me. So the guard's gonna play me to where I can't even go to the middle. So I'm gonna have to spin baseline or go baseline. Well, when I do that, the big's he's just gonna meet me there. And so you're really just gonna have to either, kick it back out to somebody and hope on the reverse side they can get to something, or you're just gonna have to get your move real quick in the post. I mean, it is what it is.
It's crazy how that one rule change in the NBA, no defensive 3, just allows offense to explode, and I get why they do it. They want their product to be attractive. They want people to be obsessed with all the ISO scores and the guys who get the opportunity to dunk on help defenders who are having to slide down and try and recover,
It's entirely different game, man. And like I know this is what you're getting at, but the way that the NBA's approached it is just that. They want that Showtime stuff. And I believe what Lucas said, and Derek, we talked with Alex Porthos about this a week or 2 ago, where Luca was interviewed, and he said something along the lines of, it's so much more difficult to score overseas than it is in the NBA. And Alex reiterated that. I assume you'll say the same.
100%. It's like not even like it's not even the same. Like when I would come back and play in the summer league after being over here in Europe, I felt like I had like so much room to just do whatever. It was ridiculous. I was like, how is this even allowed? Like it's crazy.
That's wild. Go ahead, Jordan. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't. I was just saying the freedom is just insane. Like, you're used to playing these big burly dudes in Europe who are going to knock your head off as soon as you get into the lane. But the NBA is just totally different, kind of more Showtimey, like dramatic league. I really respect. I respect guys who are able to go overseas and really carve out a name for themselves.
I'll say this, like the thing that we kind of like, and I just like talking to some guys last year, we were saying like, there's like a lot of people can play in the NBA, like that's without a question. But like a lot of guys in the NBA can't play over here in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can't really, it's hard to really talk about, but I mean, if you was to just sit down and watch a game, you would just see, and it almost would seem boring, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, you just have to watch and you'll know.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of yours and some of Alex's, and even I watched one of Aaron's a couple of weeks back or last year. I mean, it's just the way that you have to approach like the schematics of the way that like the way we're used to seeing offense work effectively at the collegiate or the professional level in the Americas does not at all. It can't work there. It can't work because there's, like you said, there's someone standing right there. Like the things that we do to move the defense into a position to allow us to have an easier access to the basket here never will work there. And so I'm fascinated, watching how offenses are take a different approach to trying to score the basketball. And a lot of times it's those quick hits. It's that, like you said, if you get the ball with your back to the basket on the block, you pretty much have to get to your move immediately. You don't see that, like, like what Dakari did for us in 2015 with that, like, 2 bump dribbles and then getting into a jump hook or something. It's much more of a quick move, right?
Right. Yeah. Are they, like, the guys, they're going to be there, they're going to come because they know they have there's a disadvantage there. So
yeah,
it's you got to do it.
It's very cool to watch and how people have to adapt. I'm curious. I'll look this up and talk about it in the third segment after we let you go. But I'm curious what how quick shots actually get off in comparison to the NBA in EuroLeague, because I bet it's faster
in the EuroLeague than the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, depending on like what kind of team and how they play. I mean, you got teams that play, like, I would say more faster, like they want to put up 85, 90 points a game, and you got teams like my team, like every possession's a war. Like you're gonna play 20 seconds of hard defense, okay, and then you're gonna go down and we're gonna come run a play and run you through our stuff, and that's just kind of how my team is this year. So it's just really how the coach wants to run his team too at the end of the day.
Absolutely. One more question about Europe and then we'll move on. But do you see, we had when I was at Kentucky with you, I was part of the scout team that Robes would teach the opposing team's offense to, so we could run it against you guys in practice and things. Do you do that as much in Europe?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's more like, for us, it's more video stuff this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then it's like a light, like, walkthrough just to run through maybe some sets that either they just put in or they run a lot just to go over it. But it's very quick. I mean, our video sessions are like super long, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So that's really the big hitter there.
I feel like we put a lot of emphasis in college on, learning the offenses of the opposition so we can know when that play comes. And it just feels a lot more like in Europe, it feels a lot more like we're going to play you the way we want to and make you adapt to us, which I admire. It's very, very cool. But that's just me being a basketball junkie. I'm just curious. So anyway, Kentucky is we got High Point coming back here. You grew up in Kentucky as well. You watched the teams that Tubby had. We're retiring his jersey tomorrow at Rupp Arena. So that's going to be a cool moment. And then we kick off. We had the one SEC game against Missouri. Then they're throwing this High Point game in there. And then we get into full swing with the SEC starting after the new year, where they go down to LSU, and we're in the thick of it. So the last thing I want to talk to you about before we let you go, and I know it's late there and you got to get some rest, but how big of a difference, in your opinion and in your experiences, with Camp Cal. How big of a turning point is that for these teams? And the reason I ask is because we were in a unique position with our team where we had, your freshman year, we were young, as most Kentucky teams are. Your sophomore year, when we brought in, Carl and Trey and those guys, we had Alex and Willie, who were a little bit older, Aaron and Andrew back on their second year. So we had a little bit of age in the locker room. This team's got 4 transfers, 3 of which are really kind of leading the push for turning the corner here. In Kellen Grady, who came from Davidson, who had a 2,000 point score at Davidson, and then obviously Oscar from West Virginia, and then Severe Wheeler, who came from Georgia. All 3 of those guys are elders, if you will, and have been through SEC play, been through conference play, played postseason games, and they're able to kind of influence the younger guys like Ty and those that haven't been through this process. And you and I know both how Camp Cal affected us. I mean, we're going from all of a sudden there's no class anymore, and you're getting a little bit of a glimpse of what your professional career might look like if basketball is all you eat, sleep, and breathe. And they're doing 2 days and everything. But how big of a difference do you think that Camp Cal situation makes over that 2-week span around Christmas time at preparing us for going into the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, like you said, 2 weeks. I mean, you're basically, morning practice, late practice, sleep, and you have your little meal at Cal's and get your rest. And it's kind of nice that you just focus in on just the game, and you don't got to worry about school. And you're with the team all the time, and you just kind of get your mind right for that postseason push. And that's where I think with our years being there, I think that was really good for our team. You kind of bond a little bit more with guys because you're together the whole day, and you just work on things you need to work on. And I think that's really where the season is, the expectations get met depending on Camp Cal in a way.
Yeah, I think the same. I think the biggest part is Cal likes to kind of pass the reins along to the team as the season tries on. And this is kind of the time period where that starts to happen. You have guys start to elevate themselves and come out, step out as leaders. And you learn a little bit. Like I keep using the reference, the extension of the coaching staff, but you learn, who's gonna kind of hold their teammates accountable, and everybody starts to buy in around this time. So we're hoping that's what's happening with this team after a 30-point win over North Carolina, 35-point win over Western Kentucky, who are both talented, and then starting off the SEC play against Missouri pretty well last night, with another almost 30-point, another almost 30-point win. I think we're on the right trajectory, and it looks like we have turned that corner. It looks like Camp Cal did it once again. I think there's a lot to be said about having the older guys in that locker room, especially once we get to the postseason. So we're excited to see what the Cats can do. But I want to thank you for taking some time out of your night and stopping by and talking with us. It was great to see you and the family last weekend or 2 weeks ago before the holidays. I'm glad you made it back safe. I hope Keely makes it in safe once she makes the trip after the holidays. And I'd love to have you in person. We're almost done with the studio that we're building in my basement, and we'll be able to all kind of hang out and, have a drink and shoot the shit. So I'm looking forward to seeing you, man. And I'll keep my eye on you for what you're doing the rest of the year. Good luck. Stay healthy. Love you. Appreciate you. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah. Love you, man. Appreciate that. Thank you all.
We want to take a moment to tell you about our friends over at Liquid IV. Liquid IV's Hydration Multiplier is a great tasting daily electrolyte drink mix that utilizes the breakthrough science of cellular transport technology to deliver hydration to the bloodstream faster and more efficiently than water alone. Just add the electrolyte powder to your water and let CTT do the rest. With 3 times the electrolytes of sports drinks, as well as 5 essential vitamins, Liquid IV comes in convenient, travel-friendly, single-serving packets. It is non-GMO with no artificial ingredients and comes in 8 delicious flavors, including lemon lime, pina colada, watermelon, passion fruit, guava, acai berry, apple pie, and my personal favorite, strawberry. So head on over to liquidiv.com. That's liquid-iv.com and plug in code SEAT14 at checkout to enjoy 25% off of your order. Liquid IV, fueling life's adventures.
Well, that was awesome. Derek is over there absolutely bawling. So it's good for him to take, or very thankful for him. We're thankful for him to have taken a second to sit down with us tonight. Even though
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's the man. All right. So let's dive in a little bit from a statistical standpoint on where the Cats stand right now.
All right.
Kellen Grady coming off of a spectacular performance both games last week. Obviously severe what he did against North Carolina and Vegas was unbelievable. And then and Oscar, those are the three guys I've really kind of honed in on just because of what they're doing. It's unbelievable. I mean, Severe will pass Tyler Eulis at the 32 game mark this season in the season assist record if he continues at the pace that he's at right now.
That's assuming he averages about 7 a game.
He's second in the country in assists, which, by the way, is as many as Davion had last year throughout the entire season.
Man, last year feels like an aberration, dude.
Yeah. Actually, that is before the Missouri game. That number was before the Missouri game. So 11 games in, or wait, are we 9-2?
9-2.
We're 10-2 now. So at 9-2, before the Missouri game, Severe had more assists. He's second in the country, had more assists than Davion had throughout the whole year last year. And again, he'll pass Tyler at the 32 game mark if he stays on pace. Oscar, are you ready for this? Oscar has 170 rebounds through the first 11 games. So also prior to the Missouri game, 170 rebounds, which is more than anyone on the roster had all of last season. The whole season, he's already there. He's leading the country in total rebounds per game, offensive rebounds. He's fifth in defensive rebounds. He's leading the country in total rebounding percentage, offensive rebounding percentage, defensive rebounding percentage. And here, this is crazy. He's third in win shares per 40 minutes, which is like basically the value that any individual player can contribute to a win. So it's at like 0.39 or something, which means basically, just to put things in perspective, that means that we are pretty much like 40%. We have like a 40 winning with any other 4 people on the floor with him.
Yeah.
That's how much of a contributing factor he's making. His ability to alter the game and to make his teammates that much better is remarkable. I mean, I bet Jordan didn't have more than a 0.39 win share. I mean, that's insane. Like he's got that much value. And I think if the season ended today, he is probably the player of the year just because of how much value he's had.
Yeah, I can't imagine how he couldn't be, simply for the sake of, I mean, other guys are generally on more loaded teams, like the Duke guys and the Gonzaga guys. Without Oscar, we've said it before this year, anyone who disagrees, quite frankly, doesn't know what they're talking about. This team would be significantly worse off without him on the roster.
Well, again, and I've made reference to this in every episode all season long, but he plays the game so much different than everybody else on the roster. So even when we have guys like Jacob Toppin coming in, and all the rest of the bench, any of those guys that come in, they offer such a different look than Oscar does, and he's just so good at what he does.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Todd, guys don't offer Oscar's look hardly at all anymore. Throughout, exactly. Definitely not in the NBA. I can think of maybe like Domantas Sabonis is kind of a similar type of player, but I mean, definitely not in the NBA, and rarely in college basketball do you have guys anymore who are offering that kind of look, that like mid-90s post player that Oscar really is. I mean, his favorite, he wears 34 because of Hakeem Olajuwon, and it's obvious.
I mean, he's doing unbelievable things. He's Dennis Rodman too. I mean, his ability to just go get the ball with 2 hands and play so strong. So he plays bigger than he is, and he's huge. So he's been remarkable. I mean, last night, just to put things in perspective with the Missouri game, right? Missouri had 2 guys in double digits. Both of them came off the bench. We held every starter to single digits. Kentucky had 4 starters in double digits, and everybody scored that played except for Dante Allen. But everybody else scored. Everybody else at least had a field goal. We had 11, 17, 14, 11, 8, 2, 4, 2, 5, and 7. So just wide range of scoring. Again, obviously Oscar with another 20 rebound outing. Even Keon had, I know, even
Dude
Keon
sneezes and gets 20 rebounds.
It's unreal. And Keon coming in and contributing with another 9. I mean, Oscar's out rebounding teams by himself. He's literally out rebounding teams by himself. They had let's see here. Well, it's not on that screen, but he's out rebounded other teams several times. He's out rebounded them. He's had more offensive rebounds than other teams have had offensive rebounds. Just unbelievable. His ability to cover so much area on the floor. And then again, we had 9 assists from Severe. We're spreading the love across the entire roster and across the lineup and offering so many different threats. It's just this team's finally catching their stride. And I know you wanted to talk about the Ken Palm situation, so I'll let you take that away. But the way that we're coming in on a nightly basis and elevating ourselves in every category and not taking any steps backwards is what's going to be the difference makers with conference play.
Yeah, and I think I want to just to reiterate something you said. You mentioned that this team has already surpassed, or Xavier alone has more assists than our de facto point guard had last year through how many games have we played? 12?
25. Oh, we've played. So that stat was
that,
from before.
that was, yeah. Okay.
So he assists in 11 games than Davion had in 25 games.
Yeah. So I think that more than anything, that tells me this is a team, and I think when you watch it, you notice this as well. This is a team that is not going to struggle creating shots for each other. They are going to get each other involved. I would much rather die on that hill versus what we had going on last year where we had an abundance of ISO scoring. And you do need both. You need a guy who can go get you a bucket late in the shot clock in a close game that's not necessarily a good shot, but he's just going to make it because he's a hooper. You need that. You absolutely need that. But for my money, give me the team that will get each other involved first. Obviously, you want to have both. But for my money, give me the team that's going to get each other involved first and foremost. And when you got a point guard like Xavier, it's just contagious. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he's doing a great job running our team and getting us into sets that we're effectively scoring in. He does a great job, and I said this from the beginning of the season. He's not going to give Key on the ball at 35 feet from the basket, right? He's putting guys in a position to be successful. He's not hanging them out to dry, and then they're delivering for him, and that's why you see his assists climb. They have.
Yeah. Quick side note about that Missouri game, dude. I texted you this when I was watching it, but I felt like that team was probably the ugliest jump shooting team that I've watched in a long time. And the stats back, I mean, I'm talking one-handed push shots. Like they looked like they had a lot of dudes who were not comfortable shooting threes, but they were still insisting on doing so. And just to reiterate that point, this is crazy. They are 300 out of 358 teams. They are number 355 in the country in 3-point percentage.
That is ridiculously bad.
Yeah, that felt like us last year.
All right, give me the Ken Palm.
Okay, so this is what I say about the whole ISO scoring situation. This is a team that, in my opinion, only struggles to create their own shots. I see this team sharing the ball at an astonishing rate, really. So we're back. I had a few technical difficulties. Like I said, this team is doing well, creating shots for each other. What I do think they lack is a guy who can get their own bucket. And we saw that when we were forcing it to Oscar in the Missouri game. It's a good thing that we managed to still win, but he just wasn't feeling it. His touch was off that night. And I think what I noticed is that when you don't have that go-to post scorer like Oscar, this team really struggles to create their own shot in an efficient and effective way, that is. This team can jack up long twos all day, but I don't see very many guys on the roster besides Oscar who you can dump the ball to, and they'll just go get you a bucket. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I think we've been starting to find the best usage for a guy like Kellen Grady for that reason. We have the eye test tells you that in the past we've struggled with stagnant offenses. This year, we haven't had to deal with that as much. We've actually
kind of the opposite this year.
Exactly. And I think it's going to continue to trend in that direction because of the way we've started to use Kellen Grady. We were at the beginning of the year doing it where basically Ty had the ball in his hands a lot more. We were treating Kellen Grady as a spot up shooter. They're really more effective in opposite roles where Kellen's got the ball in his hand and can create a shot, and Ty's a better knockdown shooter. And we've kind of started to implement that a little bit. I want to see Kellen coming off of dribble handoffs and coming off of ball screens and being able to make that decision because you get the ball in Kellen's hands and get him going downhill towards the basket, and you get the defender having to choose between taking Kellen away, taking his lane away, or forcing him to pull up, or he can throw that lob for the rim run off the ball screener, or on the weak side coming down the sideline or the baseline. I mean, and it just makes the game much simpler. Honestly, we have the defense forced in a position where they have to pick their poison.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
ability.
My turn.
Go ahead.
I feel like Kellen doesn't miss, Todd. I mean, as far as offensive rating, I'm just go ahead and tell you this. This is the big Kim Pom tease that we dropped a little earlier. Kellen has the second highest offensive rating in the entire country at 149.6. Second best in the country. I'm not sure who one is. Conversely, and this is something that really bothers me about the offensive philosophy of Mr. John Calipari. Kellen, so Ken Pom ranks their players as far as usage rate. So the percentage of possessions that player is used. Oscar is obviously number one. He's between 24 and 28% of possessions that Kentucky has on offense. Oscar is being used. And that next category is 20 to 24%. That's Xavier Wheeler, Ty Washington, Keon, and Dante, interestingly enough. Credit Matt Jones for this stat, by the way. I saw this on their Twitter. Then you go down to 16 to 20%. Those are guys like Davion, Jacob Toppin, Bryce Hopkins. Notice how I haven't said one guy's name yet. Kellen Grady. So this is ranked as far as major contributors, and then one tier below is significant, so on and so forth. At the very bottom, at less than 12% of possessions used, sits the nearly invisible category. In Ken Pom's rankings, we have one player in that category, and his name's Kellen Grady.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, Todd. It drives me up the wall.
And he leads the country in efficiency.
Second best in the entire country, my man. We have got to do a better job of getting this dude looks.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to implement him a lot more in those dribble handoff situations. I think we'll start to see that find its way into the offense
as we move in. Shoot right off that handoff, don't you think?
Exactly. Yeah. My point is when he comes off that dribble handoff, he's either got a pull-up jump shot because they switch the ball screen and the guy's too far down and gives him that look, or they're hedging, or if they switch it and they're trying to push up against him, then he can dribble. He's going downhill. And if the help comes to take the layup away or the floater away, he throws that lob to the rim run. If they don't, he finishes at the rim.
Yeah.
And if the defense plays its hand perfectly and takes away both of those options, that skip past the Ty in the corner is going to be there, or him slicing through the lane, attacking the basket. And all of those options force the defense to pick one of those three ways. And, when they leave and they're picking their poison and something can't be covered. And if Kellen's got the ball in his hands, I trust that he'll make the right decision as far as what to do in those bang situations. And he's fantastic at that. He's proven he can do it at this level. He did it at Davidson for years. And now he's in a position where he's got the assets and the tools around him to be even more effective if he can find himself in that position. So I'm hoping that we can.
Exactly. We can leverage his gravity. If we start making teams think about him and teams start to realize how frequently he's touching the ball and how efficient he is with the ball in his hands, suddenly we're able to leverage his gravity and benefit guys like Oscar and Keon and Ty. I really think and I've been saying it, I think he's the key to this roster.
I agree. I think he started as what could have been an X factor, but at the way that we're playing now and how effective he can be, I think he's going to end up being the guy that we have to have with the ball in his hand in order to be the biggest offensive threat Again, because of the way that he's able to use his tools around him. So I'm for us to start implementing a lot more of that as we move into the SEC. So tomorrow night, 7, I believe. Let me check. Don't want to misquote it here.
There's a game tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, it's on New Year's Eve, because it's we're doing the jersey retirement for Coach Smith.
So that's only 2 days between games. I mean, really 1 day.
Yeah. Okay. It is it's noon. I'm glad I checked that.
Yeah,
it's
good to know. Jeez.
Oops. All right. That's. I definitely knew that and went and done forgot. But yeah, we got noon game tomorrow. High Point coming into Lexington to retire Tubby's jersey. It's going to be very, very cool. I definitely am going to be there and knew I was going to be there, but I'm glad that I checked the time because that would have been really bad. So
you might need to get your old ass in bed, buddy.
I'm getting close, man. I got to get some rest, take some more cough medicine, and get some sleep. And then I got to go down there and do ESPN radio in the morning. You're welcome to join me. Oh yeah, you're in Tennessee. Never mind.
Clarksville, Tennessee, my man.
All right. Well, that'll about do it for us here. Noon tomorrow, High Point, and then we kick off SEC play, I believe, on Tuesday. Let me check that too.
And that's really the meat and bones.
Tuesday, LSU, and then we're back in Lexington next Saturday to host Georgia Severe's old team, which should be a pretty cool situation too. So it's off to the races, man. We're going to be bang 2 games a week. So we'll have plenty to talk about here on Seat 14 when we get back. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Stay healthy, wash your hands, do what you need to do to protect those around you and your family. Today's episode of Seat 14 was brought to you, as always, by Bet Rivers Sportsbook in association with Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier, Dwell CBD, and Budweiser King of Beers for the Field 68. Thank you for listening. I'm Todd Lanter alongside Jordan Barber, and it's not a man purse, it's a satchel. Indiana Jones wears one.
Oh, dude, I know this. Oh, no. Go ahead. Tell me.
You already named it earlier in the episode, Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. Oh, it's Hangover.
The Hangover.
Yeah.
That's right. Great. Everybody have a good year. Be safe out there. Take care of everybody as you celebrate bringing in 2022, and hopefully things continue to trend in the right direction, both for our basketball team and the world as we continue to deal with this health crisis and everything moving forward. So God bless, and we will see you next week. This is C14.